Welcome back to the Six Invitational 2025 at this ruckus MGM Music Hall in Boston, Massachusetts. I know that you, watching at home, are ready to kick off proceedings and get into this first crucial series, but I've got to ask, Boston, are we ready to bring out the teams? Well, let's do it then. Here to crush streams in order to achieve their own. It's FaZe Clan! They were dominant yesterday and they are on a mission to achieve what they failed to on home soil last year in Sao Paulo. And this, for them, is just the next step. Their opponents, North America's last chance. They don't have an org, but they've got a ton of heart. It's Unwanted! As you can hear, the crowd absolutely loves this team. In theory, on paper, they had no right to be here. Written off, thrown aside, but very much taken in by this wonderful crowd here live in Boston. Hot and cold, come and join me. KDS, come and join me. Brief words just before we get into this best of three series. KDS, good to see you again. Hot and cold, good to see you again. You were not afraid of this crowd yesterday. You had harsh words before and after sending home SSG. What do you want to say right now?
Thank you everyone to be here, first of all, and we are going to send home another NA team today.
I got a feeling you're not going to let that happen.
He didn't seem too sure of his words. I mean, I think we got him beat.
I know that you are impressed by this team, and you're not going to take them lightly, are you?
I don't understand a lot of things that they say. I don't know.
I've got to ask this. Do you feel like after everything this roster went through to get to this point, you are so proud of yourselves, but you know that you want to go all the way here?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm already proud of us. We've done, what every other NA team couldn't do, and we're gonna keep proving people wrong.
Can we get a handshake? All right, this is huge. It is Unwanted versus FaZe Clan. Let's get it on.
I would be surprised if FaZe wasn't scarred by that SI loss because they choked the hell out of that loss. It was a 6-1 lead. Yeah, it's probably awesome.
I don't think lost last year because we are very prepared to be in the final again.
What's gotten us here is honestly just having trust in each other, like fully buying into the system. Even if we, have a bad first map or a bad second map, we're just resetting, focusing on the next round, focusing on the next map.
I think our strength is the players like Handy and Souls. They are playing very good this year, and I think this is the biggest strength of FaZe Clan.
I've only ever played for a hometown crowd a couple times, and it's awesome just hearing the fans cheer your name or cheer your team's name on, wear your jerseys. Can't really do that in our regard, but, it's going to be fun just having the crowd support.
Can you stop fucking laughing back there?
What's so funny?
I think it would be fun to play against all NA teams and beat them in Boston with their crown. So it would be very fun to eliminate them.
We've beaten them before. We're about to beat them again.
We are here to prove to the world we are the best.
Tension in the air. The energy here at the MGM Music Hall is through the roof. So let's do a quick sound check, shall we? Who is going on to the next best of three and taking this series? Is it going to be FaZe Clan? Or is it going to be Unwanted? All together. Listen, this is the first time I've done this collectively, Boston. In 3, 2, 1, make some noise! It is time to get into this one. I cannot wait for it. And casting all of the action, we have in Terra and Jesse.
Thank you so very much, Ian. Only 4 teams remain here in Boston. One of them we know for certain will have the crowd behind them, and that's the team with no logos, no jerseys, no sponsors, no nothing. And for so many games, people thought they had no hope. But they've gone from unwanted to being the most wanted team in this entire tournament for the crowd and for the other teams on the stage. They have quite an obstacle in their way, and that is FaZe Clan, last year's SI runners-up. Oh man, I know it's got the big fight feeling, Jesse, and I'm excited to get into it.
It really does, Parker. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. They may not have the support of an org, but they have the support of the crowd, and that is exactly what they're gonna need to topple a team like FaZe Clan. Probably the toughest opponent that they've played so far through their lower bracket run. It's gonna be a difficult battle, but nothing's been able to stop them yet.
One of these 2 teams will play 2 matches today, because yesterday in the matchup that would determine who goes to the grand finals and who goes down into the lower bracket, Furia, the defending world champions, were knocked down at the hands of BDS. And for the 3rd event in a row, BDS finds themselves in the grand finals. Either FaZe Clan will play Furia later today in a rematch of last year's SI finals, or Unwanted will go to battle in a grueling 2-day series. No matter what happens today, we are guaranteed to have 2 electric games, and I think I speak for the audience when I say, please no more 2-0s. I want 3 maps today in at least one of the series.
Yeah, if there's any time to go the distance, it's got to be SI main stage, and we know that these 2 teams deserve it. So we're hoping to see as many maps as possible, go for a long one. FaZe Clan have historically been through some pretty long games here at SI. The Death touched on that. They've played more rounds than anybody else at the Six Invitational. So what's 45 more against a team like Unwanted?
No, exactly. And I mean, there's always something to these teams that come into the event with not a lot of expectations on their shoulders, right? You see these big orgs, and I don't need to name them, but there are some huge organizations that went home on our very first day of eliminations all the way back in Phase 2. If you're a team, all right, fine, I will name them. If you're a team like Shopify Rebellion or G2, the expectation is you'll go deep into this. Unwanted came in with no expectations, and here they are, Final 4. They will have their hands full. FaZe Clan, all the expectations in the world to make it back to the grand finals. We're ready. How about you? Are you ready for our first map of the day? This is gonna be a cheap pop because I think you can do better than that. Are you ready for map 1? Music to my ears. Folks, it's time for game 1.
We load right on into Kafe Dostoyevsky, the map pick of Unwanted, and what a pick it was. They've not played much Kafe throughout this tournament, Parker. They haven't had to show too many rounds, only a single match earlier on in the tournament, getting a 7-4 win over Team Joel ages ago. FaZe Clan will ban first. Please ignore the names on your screen. It's just a visual bug. They take out the Blitz, of course. That's a huge operator for Spirits. He's been loving that shield. Expect to see a lot more of those, and this might surprise people. Of course, the desk and everybody's been hyping up Unwanted as the shield team, but Monty has been their least played. They've much more like the aggressive shields, the Blackbeard, the Blitz. We'll still see a lot of that, and then, oh no, it's Frost. Take it off the board for Unwanted. They've seen how that can do some damage yesterday. They don't want to repeat history. Final ban coming out from FaZe Clan. They'll take out the Mozzie, an interesting one to remove. All of these bans, frankly, coming out of nowhere. A lot of these were unexpected. They're breaking trends compared to what we've seen historically. The only ban that we have typically seen from these 2 teams that got repeated was that Monty ban from Unwanted.
I love the Mozzie pick. 4 bans on this map in particular. Think about how Kafe flows as a map, right? It's very upward in trajectory.
Yes.
You're gonna be defending that top floor most of the bomb sites that you go to, especially if you go to the top floor bomb site. So what does an operator like Mozzie bring to the table? Well, all throughout this tournament, we've seen how integral information is. Mozzie, Vigil, and Mute have been 3 of the most played defenders time after time. Mozzie got a buff. Those pests can easily go on the stairwells. It's hard to get around them at that point without shooting them. They can go on the door frames, much of which there are narrow door frames leading to the bomb sites on the first, second, and third floor. And on top of that, everybody knows how good the Roni is on land. That thing absolutely shreds. And he brings great secondary utility too. It's an excellent pick to get rid of. And it's gonna cause a change as to how you block information from the attackers.
Unwanted looking to repeat a little bit of history. This was the map where they embarrassed FaZe Clan back in Manchester. That was a 7-1 defeat to knock what were the favorites for a lot of people out of the Manchester Major, the first event of our season. A couple of crazy plays that I remember from that game. Obviously, a few different players, different coach behind the team, but they've still got that reputation to live up to. FaZe Clan will choose to start on the defense, and we've seen some brilliant C4s so far. Good catch by Dream.
The Larry Bird and Tom Brady of Unwanted. You heard it here first.
I actually love that line. That was, I might steal that later on.
It does go very hard.
Yeah.
It does.
Handy not willing to give up this position just yet. Could catch someone off guard, but I like this early round. You know, first round of the day, first time you're trying to get under your opponent's skin, set the pace a little bit. It's okay to play a little bit more aggressive, and Handy's very much aware of that. One of the most experienced players in our scene. He's been to this stage many times before. Unwanted start on the roof. They start with these castle barricades. They need to set up their execute.
A lot of time has been talked about, or a lot of time has been spent talking about these players on Unwanted, and obviously Dream has been under the microscope a lot. He is a fan favorite of a lot of the community, but not much has been said about Adam. This is the biggest game that Adam has ever played in, and pressure just continues to accumulate on his shoulders to find himself in these circumstances up against what many consider to be one of the best teams in the world. Well, it's a rough start because Adam is the first casualty of this series. Unwanted already suffering with 90 seconds off of the clock.
Yeah, looking for a trade back, but it's a bit slow from the Candelas. Hot and cold, thankfully, avoiding those nitro cells. A lot of util coming through. Is anybody going to actually enter, though? That's the question. 2 Candelas still in the pockets of Spirits. Still some Firebolts and Smoke Bolts from Hot and Cold. Gavin will strike back, finding Vita King. And they're still looking for more. Dream outside the building finds 2.
Why are they stacking up on white stairs? Why do they not have that information? Now it's Souls tucked into a corner, but watched on the windows by Unwanted, and he might be in a tough spot where there's limited opportunity for him to get out with his life intact. Handy is on the other side of the map and just got exposed from that position. Hot and looking for the follow-up, but a little bit too slow. Handy can easily go for the drop and will now need to retake towards red stairs as Spirits drops. And there's a flank to come through with the pistol out, a brazen engagement that he loses. But they've got information. That leaves 1 player on site. 3 remain from Unwanted. Souls taking out Gavin and FaZe Clan in their matchup against Space Station yesterday showed us how they can turn the tides when they are outnumbered. And it looks like they just might do it again. Oh my God, picking up from where they left off yesterday. FaZe Clan already off to a hot start.
You gotta say it, sloppy in the 4v2, Unwanted. They could have isolated those players. They were so far apart on the side of FaZe Clan. Handy and Souls across the map from one another. But what happens? It ends up being 2 separate 2v2s. The players go in individually, and that's gonna be one of those that you want back at the end of the day. It's early, there's plenty of time to recover from a round like that, but if you're Unwanted, these are the problems that you've gotta sort out soon. It was a good start. They caught a lot of FaZe Clan players off guard. From outside the building, from this position, they got 3 separate kills, including this beauty 2K from Dream just through the window. But then afterwards, it is individual play after individual play. They are not able to collapse with one another. That's going to be a heartbreaker, but it is early in this series, Parker. That's okay. I'd rather make mistakes right now if I'm Unwanted than make those same mistakes on round 15.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're Unwanted, though, you don't want to be going to round 15 on Kafe. It's your map. You want to escape this in regulation and set a good tempo for what remains. Clubhouse picked by FaZe. Historically, a terrific map for them. We saw, you and I in particular, the Virtus Pro matchup on Clubhouse. That was honestly quite a slog of a game. Very slow moving, very methodical. It didn't feel like a game of Rainbow Six Siege. It felt like a game of chess, but not the high-level chess that's really quick, like the low-level chess that you play at the park on a Sunday morning. So, can Unwanted create a tempo that FaZe struggle with, not just here on this map, but moving to Clubhouse? That will be the question To be answered, it was a terrific start from FaZe Clan. Unwanted tried to start the tempo, failed, and they, just like so many teams, lost out in the middle of the round to FaZe.
Good early Uto clear with Vidaking's Goyo canisters already being blown up in the site. This is the full 5-man anchor from FaZe Clan. No roamers on the top 2 floors, so as Unwanted want to go through this vertical clear, they're unlikely to find much resilience from FaZe. You know, FaZe Clan have a bit of history at SI too, beating North American teams on this map. They took down SSG a few days ago, 7-3. So obviously they are quite dominant here on Kafe. They know what it takes to beat a North American team, but Unwanted have that history as well, as we mentioned, back at the Manchester Majors. So they'll know what to expect. They've got VODs on their opponents too, which FaZe can't quite say the same for.
See the pick rate of Gridlock continue to tick upwards on this map. It was played by Space Station a number of times. Benjamaster rocking that Australian operator. Now we see it in the hands of Spirits. And just as Mozzie is so effective, his regional counterpart on attack finds the same level of success here. You've got grenades, you've got those track stingers, you've got a super shorty as your secondary. Gridlock really does bring it all on this map, and it allows you to fear a bit less about those flanks if you know track stingers are down. You just got to make sure you don't crowd the comms, so when those track stingers either get stepped on or broken, you know somebody's coming from that angle.
Same time, though, I wouldn't count out FaZe trying to make an aggressive move. Cyber's usually the one to make that call, and he's currently just sitting at the bottom of Brown Stairs waiting for an opportunity. But with 60 seconds, they're also not going to be too upset if they just chill on the site. There is going to be a Sens coming down here from Hot and Cold eventually, and that might be a bit of a problem. Obviously, Cyber on that Warden, but after the new buff, you cannot see through those Sens walls anymore. So they're going to have to find some other way to deny a plant if it's being stopped by a Sens wall. Temporarily, that freezer hatch will be closed off by the tuber out, but it's not going to last forever. The hatch opens now, and the angle to the bomb site opens with 35 seconds.
And this will be a death drop from Unwanted, as they will rely entirely on these Sens walls to conceal them. Hot and Cold goes for the drop, and another one will go out as he shrugs off some damage by the freezer vaults. Just narrowly missing out on those tracers, and will now tuck himself into the corner where the gas misses. Hot and Cold might be getting away with murder. 10 players still alive in the server, and Unwanted pull off the plant. Now in the post plant, they need to pick off FaZe one by one. Vidaking the first casualty, off to an uncharacteristically slow start. Souls, who was terrific in the previous round, still fragging out. Souls is on the diffuser, but you got Gavin from above, who will now likely drop unless they want him to just stay in this spot, and why not? All the tools, all the tricks of the trade being thrown in his way. Gavin eliminating the smoke. Aerial superiority. The high ground just too much. And Dream hits a 2K to send the round away. Tie game.
The thing people say about Unwanted every single time they get covered is that they're a smart team. They don't need to rely on the flashy players. Hell, a lot of their flashy players got bought out from them right before this event. So they can't really rely on that same flashy plays that they sometimes had back in Manchester, but instead, they come with some brilliant new strategies. Maybe there's one player who can make some flashy plays.
Yesterday's MVP was the support player himself, rumored to have been retiring from Rainbow Six Siege before this event. And if he does choose to retire, what a swan song it would be. Top 4 at the biggest event of the year.
And if they win this, it'll be another top 3. Don't forget, the only other time Dream's been to a Six Invitational was 2023, where he and that Oxygen Esports squad made it all the way to the final 3 before eventually falling. Quite a resume to be able to go to 2 Six Invitationals and both of them achieve such high results. That last round from FaZe Clan, I gotta say, the decision not to retake top floor, I don't believe it was even attempted by one member of FaZe Clan. That's gotta be the main name of the game. When you're playing on the bottom floor on Kafe, the whole point of that should be to retake that top floor in the post plant. That never came out from FaZe Clan. So something to think about next time they go back to that bomb site.
I think what might have given them a bit of pause is the gridlock on the board. You'd have to cut through the track stingers to begin with, right? You knew Gavin was in that position upstairs inside of dining. They used a nitro cell to try to take care of him. They had 2 separate players engage with him through the floorboards. That entire floor is destructible, and yet Gavin remained unbothered and still very much alive. That allowed the rest of Unwanted to circle around the bomb site once Hot and Cold got the job done. Now, Adam is having quite a rough go of it. He didn't die in the previous round, but he's been the opening death in rounds 1 and 3. Maybe he's not an odd number guy.
Well, I'm excited to see him around number 4 as he pops off. Yeah, a little bit of an over-eager entry to that bottom floor. Assuming it was clear when it wasn't, perhaps a missed drone. Whatever the case, that will be an early man advantage for FaZe Clan.
Remember, Dream's focus in round number 1 was over here towards White Stairs. He's positioned in the exact same way. You've got to be a little concerned with these FaZe Clan players. Dream dies, but Claymore gets the trade after he had an earlier pick onto KDS. Dream is seemingly leveling up. The longer that this team plays on land, the better Dream continues to get.
Uh-oh.
Oh my, Houghton. What lies below is something you need to concern yourself with. Unwanted has been picked apart all over the map at this point. And now a retake from above, thought otherwise by Vidaking. Gavin and Spirits, the last two that remain.
I've learned one thing though, Parker, never count out a French-Canadian on our shield. Spirits has been ridiculous with these shields all tournament long. Everybody's been highlighting it. And the Blackbeard, his only option, just wants to go crazy with a fuse to rock that utility here on Kafe. Watch out!
Are you kidding me?
Quick from Gavin.
Gets off the drone, shoots the nitro cell, gets right back on, and now he's got a read down below on that mute. Spirits is attempting the distraction, it works. Gavin grabs him, and now top floor control is theirs, but I always worry when you're in a clutch situation against FaZe Clan. What works in Unwanted's favor, though, Jesse, neither of these two players have a single kill. Cyber will break that, picks up 2 in very quick order. And again, the problem for Unwanted against FaZe Clan comes in the final moments of the round. But some stumbles right off the rip. And again, Adam dying early in rounds 1 and 3 is not great. You cannot allow your opponents to have such a huge advantage for so long.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there were some good comebacks with Dream, especially on that Claymore, but I mean, didn't really matter in the end. Cyber and Vidaking had such a nice cross on that hatch drop. It was good from Gavin to be able to work a pick, but ultimately in that 2v2, they've got the advantage on the defense. They know exactly where the two of you are going to funnel through. So that was clean late round play. Some of the cleanest that we've seen after a couple of mistakes have been made in the early rounds of Kafe. But it'll be FaZe Clan off to an early lead. Often we talk about this as a relatively defender-sided map, so FaZe Clan should be hoping to walk away with at least a 3-3, but I think a 4-2 split would be quite happy for them as well.
We're now at a point in time where we'll have pretty accurate map stats. And we don't want to drown you in numbers, so we won't bore you this round, but we'll talk about it depending on what occurs. When you pick the map, your opponent will typically go to the better side. I think it's safe to say that FaZe got that memo and they chose correctly. A very similar setup with the mute jammers up top that really didn't seem to bother Unwanted that much the last time they had to tackle it. I was actually going to give them some praise in the previous round when Gavin was droning around that mute jammer down inside of Train. He's able to evade the radius of the blocker so successfully, and then obviously there was that 1-2 punch when Spirits flushed him out, but intel will be the name of the game. Against a team like FaZe Clan, you're going to need everything you can to do battle with them, to stay on the same footing with them. And Unwanted want to continue this, I don't want to call it a Cinderella run because the core of this team is a major winning team back in Manchester, but still a shocking amount of success for Unwanted so far, and you don't want it to come to an end.
Couple of FaZe players testing the waters early. We saw Cyber down on that red window. Handy, of course, in his favorite position. This is where he's launched a couple of nitro cells so far. Also was able to play quite aggressively around here in the first round of the series, hoping to repeat, but honestly, Unwanted have been really good about not giving those opportunities. If they're peeking angles, it's often with the shield, otherwise it's the drone that goes in first, and that's the slow, steady pace of Unwanted that they've shown throughout this tournament. It's been really impressive so far, but they still got to find some way to get an opening pick.
Vidaking was itching for a fight from Lumber over towards this white window. He takes a bit of damage as now utility clear will go in through the hatch. Spirits drops, blinded by his own teammates. In a very powerful position for KDS to play as the retake from FaZe looks so good. Dissension amongst the ranks of Unwanted. Only 2 remain from Unwanted yet again. They've done very little to knock FaZe off of this defense. Some damage has been done to Cyber, but That's really it, and not a lot to write home about for Unwanted.
Yeah, and especially on a map like Kafe, I mean, there's just no easy way to get into the building at this point. Handy still holding Cigar, hot and cold, just baiting for a kill on the window, because he knows that if they don't find a pick this way, it's unlikely they're going to get one at all. Does get Vidiking eventually. Patience pays off, and that's the first of 5. They're going to need to clean up to secure this round and make it 2-2. The time, though, it is not on their side. 40 seconds.
No, I think this is what we're going to see similar to the previous round. This will be a perilous rappel on in and a very swift lockout from FaZe Clan. They bought themselves some time with Hot and Cold now sitting in the midst of the smoke. KDS popping up. How about a 4K for KDS? A huge round from him and from FaZe Clan. 3-1, a very, very, very strong start for the Brazilians.
KDS said in the interview before this game that he knew that Unwanted were going to bring the shields. We got attack timeout, actually. Let's listen to what they're up about.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the only thing I think that's going wrong is we're not being thorough enough in the beginning of the round. Like right there, there's a guy Pixel, right? Or the other. I mean, the other rounds too. They're also falling for a lot of our fucking fakes, right? Like when we're just fucking smoking and fire shit, they think we're going, and then they're overexposing themselves, and then Dream's just fucking getting eating up. On Kitchen Bunker, Matt, I think you can almost fake the sense, kind of like we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
And then we can hit a bake side if you wanted to, or we just have to go for the back pick. I think they're going to try to counter your sense ball. I mean, we could also just bring Osa there. It's another idea. And reading, I almost feel like we could still go train fast and just float sight. Or if you want to work top, again, I think we can shoot a bunch of fucking util and make a move. Like, these guys are just over fucking reacting. Big time. Cool? All right, let's go. Come on. Take our time.
Mitch.
You don't get to hear the comms, but we do, so what we'll relay to you is Mint actually just spent the entire time saying, Dream is sexy, over and over and over again. That was it. There was no other comms provided. No, what was effectively said was that they like their entry.
Yeah.
And they've been baiting FaZe with deliberately used utility, and FaZe has been falling for it. But there's no capitalization from Unwanted. They fake the execute, FaZe falls for it, and then Unwanted doesn't follow up. If you're going to bait them into a reaction, you need to have your own actions that take advantage of that. Unwanted are not getting the job done. Mint gave them some pointers on how to do that, and now we'll see if it works here in round number 5.
Well, it's going to be difficult because Mint also threw out a lot of good ideas about how to attack on reading, how to attack on kitchen. They're going to go to reading instead of the kitchen this time around. So that sends play that Mint asked Hot and Cold to try to fake is not going to be effective this time. Maybe we'll see that bomb site back on round number 6, but for now, Hot and Cold has to late switch over to the Zofia. I was going to say, this shield play from Spirits, it's been very good, very successful throughout the tournament, but KDS seemed quite confident they could counter it in the pre-game interview. Felt like he knew exactly what to do to shut it down, and he proved that in the previous round. They threw the 4-man blitz at him, the Blackbeard plus the flashbangs from a teammate. Couldn't quite get the job done.
FaZe Clan have been really good at winning engagements against superstar players. Yesterday, we saw both Benja and J9O having some very big struggles against this team here on this exact same map. And now it's Spirits and Adam combining for a 0-6 scoreline. Now, mind you, we did talk about Adam and how this is the biggest match that he's been a part of, so there will be some pressure on his shoulders that will be hard for him to shake off. He's also playing on a support role, so it's not the end of the world if he doesn't get a lot of kills. The same cannot be said for Spirits. You need a good performance out of him. And I mean, if he's going to be rocking shields all the time, the two shields that don't really get kills are banned. The shield that you expect to get an awful lot of kills is the Blackbeard, and that's the one that Spirits has been using. He's inching his way towards the bomb site, and he's caught on a crossfire. Another early death from Unwanted.
That's rough timing. Souls was coming around the corner at the perfect moment to catch the backside of Spirits. That space that he's trying to make couldn't be grabbed, but there's Dream again with an answer. He's getting off these early aggressive players.
Jesse, he's getting half of these kills without even entering the building for crying out loud.
Exactly. I think he's gotten most of them from outside at this point, Parker, and I think that really comes down to his playstyle. He's holding these angles. They're waiting for FaZe to make these moves, and they are getting the punishes, but as Mint said in the tactical timeout, they're not able to convert that.
Pixel spot was an issue in particular for the timeout, and would you look at that? KDS is in the exact same spot. He's got a golden opportunity. As they hit goo mines, way towards the map, way towards the bomb site. KDS doesn't see Dream, who's now entered the building. That pixel spot has been flushed out, and now we have a great round from Unwanted. They pick off Handy, and Vidaking with a single kill will have to hold this bomb site together. You ever see that Spider-Man movie where he's trying to pull the ship back together with the webs?
Yeah.
That's Vidaking right now on this round.
Yeah, he's got a lot to do here, Parker. Obviously, the players of Unwanted outside the building. His one advantage, though, there's only 20 seconds on the clock. If he can stop a plant, never mind.
Issuing a correction here. He cannot stop the plant.
No, that's going to be tough from the grave. Caught up by a window. I mean, this is happening a lot for FaZe Clan. Despite the fact that they were up 3-1, now it's 3-2. These outside angles have really been going the way of Unwanted. They're doing a great job of catching these movements from FaZe Clan. A lot of that has to be given to Dream, not only from the outside of the building, catching off those players, but when something goes missed, when something doesn't get caught, it's Dream who's rechecking Pixel, who's catching that once again. And honestly, you've got to give a lot of that credit to his experience. Dream has been playing at the top level, mostly on Oxygen Esports, for an extremely long time. He knows what players like to do in high-pressure situations like this, and he's going to be punishing them.
That round highlights how good of a read Mint had on these defenders. He said that they are constantly falling for our bait. We are getting them to look in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Technically, in the right direction for Unwanted, the wrong direction for FaZe Clan. But if you're not pouncing upon those mistakes, then the fact that they're committing mistakes doesn't really matter if you can't do anything about it. That round, Unwanted faked the entry over towards Piano. They faked pressure on that white hallway, and it kept FaZe Clan looking in the wrong direction for FaZe, and Unwanted were in the right place at the right time to punish them for it. So an immediate course correction after that timeout, and the team listens to their coach. They win the round off of it.
I gotta compliment FaZe's site selection here. They took the tack timeout on Unwanted right before they expected a kitchen bomb site. We didn't see that now through the entire half. Hold on, Cyber's out the window. Fine Spirits traded by Gavin. That's gonna be a 1-for-1. You killed the Blackbeard though. Spirits will not find a kill through the first half. That is a massively impactful pick. And I think Cyber, despite being on the Wamai, who can be a really powerful late round operator, is probably walking away from that thinking like he won.
Terrible beginning for Spirits as obviously they managed to keep it close with that vault out, but that's a huge net win for FaZe. I would trade out a Wamai for a Blackbeard any day of the week. You do not want Spirits to continue on this downward trend. We highlighted this during the group stage when we casted Unwanted. It's that sometimes you get games from Spirits where he goes 0-12.
Yeah.
And then the very next map, he goes 21-5.
Well, I mean, he's got a tough role too, being the point man on the shield. That round was a bit of a difficult one, but previously he is kind of that guy making the space. Sometimes Blackbeard can be a fragging off, but sometimes it is just trying to play similar to a Monty. Find that for your team.
They've used him both ways so
Yes,
far.
they have.
This round, we're not really going to get to see how effective he can be. Gavin dies at the hands of Candy, finds a second now onto Adam. Adam also killless in this first half. A combined 0-9 for two players on the side of Unwanted is devastating in the hardest match that they've had so far in this event. And it's on very familiar territory. It's their own map. They knew that FaZe Clan were proficient here, but I mean, at some point when you get to this current point in time, you're gonna have overlap on your map pool. Handy goes down, what a reflexive shot. He finds two, and the numbers suddenly way closer in this round, far more winnable. Hot and cold at the halfway point of the diffuser, but has to fear what is above. That's KDS sending shockwaves through the defenders. Souls looking for an opportunity now against Dream. An easy win, and now it's Houghton fending for his life by himself. He tries for the slow peek, but KDS is just a little bit better, and the first half goes in favor of the Brazilians.
Nice try coming out from Unwanted. That was a difficult round, but ultimately Dream wasn't able to do enough. They had site control, but they didn't quite have that information. That's going to be the big disadvantage.
Well, we've got Nix from the side of Unwanted here to talk to us about what he thinks. Nix, welcome aboard.
Hello.
Just want to ask you, what are your immediate takeaways there on the first half?
I think the boys are playing pretty well. I think right now we're just kind of getting caught by our own mistakes. We're not droning properly. These guys are kind of just playing their zones and ratting on us, which shouldn't happen. We even had a 4v2 in round 1 that we let get away from us. So I think that half could have been either a 3-3 or even a 4-2 in our advantage. Just kind of clean up the small things.
You're sitting as defenders now for the remainder of regulation, and then obviously whatever happens in overtime, should it arise, will happen in OT. What is your main goal now with Unwanted as the defenders?
Obviously don't want to give away too much, but we know how these guys play. They're just going to take it slow and usually take from one side of the map. So we just want to make sure we're playing together and make sure we're communicating our win conditions in the late round, and we should have it in the bag.
Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and good luck.
Thank you.
The dream and the nightmare on this team. They can do both. And that's the thing, right? I mean, they know how close that first round was. A 4-2 scoreline might not be what they wanted, but they had some good moments. This could have been a lot closer. This could have even been favoring Unwanted. I agree with what Nick said. So if they can find a way to channel that energy, don't let the bad spirits get to them. Don't let that mental sink in against a team like FaZe Clan. This Unwanted squad have been through a lot, both as a team and as individuals, and with the circumstances surrounding this event. But if they could just buckle in this second half, defensive side of Kafe, it is very doable.
Yeah, things are not looking great for Unwanted across the board. Yeah, I mean, you want to play your own game. Every team does. Every team loads into their own map with the expectation that they're going to win it, and a lot of teams will load into their opponent's map with the exact same expectation. Here, Unwanted need to focus primarily on Kafe. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't look at maps 2, maybe even map 3, should layer even be needed. You need to play your own game. Settle in. 2 of your players need some form of motivation right now because Unwanted is being dragged to the finish line primarily by Dream, and one man alone is not going to be enough.
Clinical Twitch play from Cyber cleared out a lot of those mute jamers and got really good intel as to where that player is at over towards Cocktail. Can they convert that to an opening? Spirits
with the smart goggles on, dispatches souls. Adam dies yet again. That's Spirits' first kill. Adam will be apprehended. Spirits putting in some serious work, but KDS cannot be slowed down as both of these teams come to blows, neither with an advantage. Halfway point, 2 defenders, 2 attackers, and a showdown for an incredibly crucial round. If FaZe Clan win this, Jesse, they are in the home stretch of this map. If Unwanted can win, well, we got ourselves a ball game.
Bit of soft breach too from FaZe Clan. Obviously they got those Zode destructibles, but KDS should have a secondary shotgun as well, which they can both use to work these floorboards. Hot and Cold's gonna sit and train Gavin over by red stairs. That leaves Reading a little bit exposed, but if they can correctly predict where this push is gonna come, or if we can see a really late flank coming around towards that pillar side of the map, this could be devastating.
Otten is not really in a position where he's supported by Gavin, so at the moment, they'll both be playing like individuals. Gavin found out by KDS, and now Houghton will have a shoulder peek as he gives his position away. He's waited a second for Vidiking. He could have made something work, but he gets run right over. These late rounds for FaZe Clan are killing Unwanted.
KDS is coming up with a lot of answers. This is something that Unwanted need to do on their part. KDS was the single best player for FaZe Clan back at the Montreal Major. He's been a little bit slower to start in Boston. He's been more negative than some of his teammates, but that's the thing with FaZe. They've got 5 guys who all can pop off when the moment is right. And KDS on the biggest stage, this might just be where he comes alive and tries to reclaim that title. I shouldn't just say he was the best player on FaZe. He was the best Brazilian player of the entire event. And I'll remind you, Parker, a Brazilian team won the Montreal Major, so that's a pretty big accomplishment. Thought the entry was pretty solid. KDS getting in the back lines. I think Spirits did a lot of good work there, but ultimately it wasn't quite enough. His teammates cleared out from the Skylight, cleared out from Cocktail. And that 2v2 just didn't quite have the positioning. And I mean, it feels like the mistakes are so small for Unwanted, but that doesn't matter. The score is starting to slip away from them. 5-2 down on your own map pick. This is starting to be where you get concerned.
Well, I think there's some concern for Unwanted back when they took the timeout so early on. If there was concern then, this is now a 5-alarm blaze at this point. When you're in North America, you obviously want the North American teams to do well for the crowd's sake. You want there to be representation from all of these regions. If Unwanted goes home, the final 3 are 2 Brazilian teams, and then in the finals, 1 European, dare I say it, super team that used to be entirely French, but now has a Turk and a Brit. playing on the roster. BDS have looked great. The thing for Unwanted is that while FaZe is a huge obstacle, it only gets harder from this point onwards, right? You've got Furia up next if you get over FaZe Clan, and then if you get over Furia, you've got a date with Destiny against BDS, and that would be a rematch of the Manchester Major. No matter what, we are guaranteed to get a rematch here, because if FaZe Clan wins, it'll be a rematch of SI against Furia in the lower bracket. If Unwanted make it all the way, it'll be a rematch from those Manchester Major finals.
Some early aggression from Dream as he tried to get those Yokais out to get some information, but ultimately didn't find anything that they wanted to capitalize on. And so this will be a late round, likely 5v5 execute. This is a full 5-man anchor from Unwanted. They have, just like FaZe Clan, chosen not to roam up on that top floor, instead believing in their anchors, believing in their site play and their teamwork. You can do that on Kafe. It's a very popular strat. They've got a good amount of site util too. The Toxic Beige from Hot and Cold, Spirits on that Tuber playing VIP, just like what we saw from FaZe Clan. He's going to be using those Zotos to keep this freezer hatch closed as long as possible. Of course, the Echo Cams and the Goyo canisters as well inside are all going to provide so much value. The job is on FaZe over the next 45-ish seconds to clear out this utility. Find as much of it as you can. No Tuber out coming out to stop that hatch means that a lot of time that could have been burnt out will not be. Not sure if Spirits maybe wasn't aware that it's getting opened or if he's got another plan for those Zoto canisters. I sure hope he's got some ideas. That's nice.
I believe that's called redundancy.
Yeah.
Hot and Cold dies, though. He gets caught out by Handy. A devastating first blow dealt to Unwanted by FaZe. They have been playing very slow on the side of FaZe. They have a golden opportunity now as those Zoto canisters will go down over towards Freezer. But right now, nobody's being frozen out at the moment as the diffuser is good. 2 shots from Unwanted landing, but Souls is there for coverage over towards delivery. Down to a 3v3. The Yokai drones were unsuccessful in stopping the plant, and none of those Goyo canisters seem to be of much use. KDS shot through the wall as Adam and Gaveni both double up on it, but you gotta work the time if you're Unwanted. You are letting this round slip through your fingers as Vidaking and Souls are still posted up to greet Gavin and Adam as they come back to the bomb site. The hatch being watched as now a drop goes in, a 1v1 with very little time, and Souls is so damn good. Every single round he puts himself in a winning position with limited time on the clock, and he is single-handedly demolishing Unwanted.
That was a great push from FaZe. That sniper play from the Glaz, incredible. He was holding the VIP hallway the whole time, aware of where the push could come through, and then was able to punish them as they tried to run up those brown stairs. I gotta say it though, Parker. I mean, what is the point of putting 3 Goyo canisters on Coffee if you're not gonna pop any of them? Plant went down underneath those Goyos and none of them were able to be exploded.
I will say, it is entirely possible that the player responsible for shooting them was Houghton.
Sure.
Who died right away. So, number one, not only do you lose somebody who might have been holding that position, but you lose your gas canisters as well. As you called it, those Zoto canisters not being used on the hatch were designed to buy time inside a freezer, but they failed. And FaZe Clan was able to just bull rush through your defense and get the diffuser planted before no anti-plant utility could be used by Unwanted.
And that's likely, but at the same time, like, somebody's got to make that call to rotate over, pop those Goyo canisters. If they'd been able to buy a few more seconds, the Echo was so close to denying it, but it was really good coverage from FaZe to shoot that Echo. Maybe if they can get that denial off, they can buy themselves some time to pop the Goyos. They can't be worried about that now. You've got to win the next 4. And Hot and Cold is doing everything that he can. A little run out to try to make it happen, but he doesn't quite find anybody. How does the mental hold on?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We talked a little bit about how they don't have pressure and expectations on their shoulders. They've been affectionately referred to as the black shirts by a number of people in the community because they're just wearing black t-shirts.
Yeah.
That's it. I made a joke. Go down to your local Target, go down to your local Walmart, your local store, buy a pack of Fruit of the Loom black shirts, and you can wear the Unwanted jersey as well. But at some point, your mental switches from, hey, you know, we don't have a lot of expectations on our shoulders. We're not with an org. You know, let's just play for fun to, holy smokes, we're in the top 4. This is real. We want to win. And that's when you can become your own worst enemy. And the mental can be really tough to regain.
I mean, even this team, even without an org, they've been together for such a small amount of time. believe it's just over 70 days this team has been together as a 5-man squad. FaZe Clan have been as a 5-man for over 700. The difference in experience, the difference in time they've had to gel is insane between these two teams. And Unwanted, that can't be an excuse. You've got to overcome that. At this point, Six Invitational top 4, there's no, well, you know, top 4 is good enough. Everybody wants to win.
In every event, to your point, we talk about how FaZe is always one of those teams that you can guarantee will make a deep run.
Yep.
Every time we're asked, who do you think is going to make it? Every time the community is asked, who do you think is going to make it? When you ask the players that same question, FaZe is always included in that answer. And they're in for a surprise on this round. Houghton pops up doing his best Hicks impression. Downstairs by the brown stairs, completely undroned. That's a throwback for those that might not have been watching when Hicks was on Millennium. And then Lestream, I believe it was.
This has been a really slow round from FaZe Clan. 60 seconds we just hit, and I mean, what map control have they taken? They're into the bottom floor. Unwanted have not been fighting them. They've conceded a lot of ground.
And a missed opportunity as King gets classic siege timing. A grenade now thrown out to displace Gavin from the laundry door. Missing water if he fell out of a boat. Handy and KDS last two standing, but when they're outnumbered, they seem to thrive. They've got a read on white stairs. One of those SAS operators sits patiently and waits. KDS will have him on lock, waiting for him to walk up, but KDS botches the shots, and Spirits and Dream will walk out the final moments of that round, showing that Unwanted will not go down without a fight. Map 1 is still very favored for the Brazilians, but Unwanted might just have lit the match to try and keep this thing going.
I said it at the start of this game, Parker. If you're going to throw a couple of early man advantages, you'd rather have it happen in round 1 than round 15. Yep. And we're a ways from round 15, but round 9, when you're up against match point, might be exactly the same. They don't throw that advantage this time around. They play really well together, Dream on those white stairs, holding things down, buying time for Spirits to go up above. They knew there was nobody top floor to hold things on the side of FaZe Clan, so that was exactly the right call from Spirits. They need to keep this momentum up. They started that round by playing a little bit more aggressive. Yes, they conceded that ground, but it was honestly just a trap to lure FaZe Clan into taking that space so they could go for swings, so they could go for rat plays. Hot and cold, of course, down to the bottom of brown stairs, the main focal point of that defense. They've got to keep the surprises up. You know, if FaZe Clan can expect what you're going to do, if they can read into your game plan, it's going to be really, really tough to stop them. But in that last round, it felt like FaZe didn't really know what was going on. They didn't have the memo. Unwanted were able to pull some stuff out from under their nose and catch them off guard. They need to keep that up. Only 3 more rounds. Sounds easy, but when you've got to win them in a row against one of the best teams in the world, it is anything but.
Don't want to talk about Clubhouse just yet because we could still be far removed from that map. I mean, if Unwanted wants a victory here, we've got a long road to go. Just us and this wonderful crowd, and you at home, of course, watching. What a great time it would be for all. Or FaZe Clan in 2.5 minutes sends us to a break. Who knows? It's one of those things. Unwanted used their timeout in the first half. They saw immediate success, but they kind of lost the plot after that as King survives a bit of a scare, Jesse. 45 seconds in, trying to get down off of that second floor rooftop terrace.
Yeah, caught from somewhere. That's going to be a lot of HP suffered, but still one-shot headshot game. He will have his guns up, but just getting to the roof now, starting to open these hatches. Of course, that is going to be the game plan top floor, right? He's Gridlock once again coming out from the Souls to stop any sort of a flank. Not that there is one brewing.
3 sets of track stayers on top of that, by the way. 3.
Hey, we talk about redundancies of the Gallo canisters. Why not more with the grid? Sometimes you can throw them and they don't really catch the things you want them to catch. Dream rotates down to that bottom floor. Hot and cold sitting down there too. So that flanking potential does exist now. But that's not where the focus is for FaZe.
Last set of utility from the Gridlock is just one grenade, and now fighting through the Bs. Handy looking for a follow-up. Baited into bar, backstock, but FaZe Clan pummeling Unwanted. FaZe Clan seem to be at their best with their backs against the wall, but they've broken this round open, and there's no walls in sight. Houghton and Dream against the 4 players of FaZe, and his diffuser almost went down. Unwanted have very limited information. Houghton had the read on KDS. 1 big kill as now Souls goes for the plant. but both players from Unwanted are on the floor below Jesse. A Nitro Cell connects and the diffuser does not go down. It was a hair away from happening, and that could have been the map for Unwanted, but they keep it locked in for the time being. Cyber now with diffuser tucked into a corner over by Cocktail as Viniking will go for the outside repel to cover. Watching back bar, the retake from Unwanted up the stairs. A very powerful position as Cyber might not even need Viniking. He does it all himself. And FaZe Clan snatch Unwanted's map away in very short order. What a scary, scary series this will be for Unwanted.
They strike when the iron is hot. They see how exposed that bomb site is, and they walk right on in. FaZe Clan looking dominant on their opponent's pick. Couple of rounds that Unwanted are going to want back, but at this point, it's too little and too late. They've got to go all the way to club to try to win this.
It might be a long day depending on how these matches go, and we don't want to take you away from the goods. So while the replays go, we'll stop talking and wait for the break. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Available now.
Welcome back, everybody. It's FaZe Up for map number 1 in this series as they absolutely trounce Unwanted on Kafe Dostoyevsky. So much confidence in FaZe Clan in this first map.
Yeah, I think when we teed this up as a David versus Goliath, we really said that FaZe Clan are always going to provide this consistent level of ability, this consistent level of performance, and that's exactly what we saw on their opponent's map pick. This was Unwanted's map pick of Kafe. And I will say, fundamentally, it's very funny on the analyst desk, Leo, we talk about strategy a lot. Yeah. I don't think Unwanted strategy at all was bad in terms of the way that they played Kafe. I do think, however, the FPS element of this game was bad. They looked nervous, they looked shaky, because in so many duels that it felt like they were going to win, and we saw it from Unwanted's POVs on their players very, very often, they ended up losing the fights. And it was just flurry of kills that go to FaZe that really should have been Unwanted kills very, very often. And that's how they ended up losing a lot of these rounds. Even though they strategically got it right, even though they controlled a lot of rounds, they ended up losing them because FaZe, quite simply to put it, were shooting harder than them.
Yeah, they were losing way too many gunfights. If you look at the core of Unwanted, right, the most experienced players, Dream, Gaveni, Hot and Cold, they've all stepped up. But the younger ones, Spirits, Adam, it's been a little bit harder for these guys. And you look on the side of FaZe, look at them. They're completely unfazed. They don't care. They're emotionless, right? They're exactly like yesterday, in full confidence, taking any gunfights and winning them. And for me, round 2 was already telling that story. Yeah. That before from Handy and Souls 1, that was just to tell the story of them winning every single gunfight.
It feels like map 1 is a reality check here for Unwanted, having made it so deep in the Invitational. Here's our scoreboard for map number 1. Kafe Dostoyevsky, Souls is way up there, Jack.
Yeah, again, not really a player we speak about too much these days on the FaZe Clan. It's usually KDS or Cyber, but Souls has got that quality. We know he's been there on the back line of this team for such a long time, but he's such a good gunner in his own right. That was his, I think, defining feature. He was a support player that could gun back in the early days. Obviously, that's a lot more common now. He can still put up those numbers.
Obviously, us Frenchies would label him the Brazilian Bride, right?
Or is Bride the French Souls?
Oh, anyway,
no.
Anyway, that's a compliment, right?
Either way, right?
These guys, you put them on the worst operators, and they will still drop multi-kills. And that's Souls 1 for you, that's Bride for you. They just play the game perfectly at all times. It's insane.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for helping us break things down here. But we have Laxing on standby to help us out in illustration. My God, you're looking great today.
So are you guys. Howdy, gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to talk about what Jack was saying, you know, in terms of Unwanted. They definitely had a good strat. They had a good strat game, but I think when it does come down to the FPS and the gunfights, it was going in FaZe's favor here. We start off the attack with FaZe here. Now, FaZe is going to go for the execute here of how they want to breach the top floor. They're going to be going for Spirits. They're going to be collapsing on top of him. Souls, Cyber, pushing for that. The good thing is, Spirits plays this perfect. He gets one trade. Gavini has the trade onto Bar. This is where things get shaky for me, is because Spirits gets this kill onto Cyber. He doesn't need to peek anymore. They are in the man advantage. But unfortunately, Spirits is feeling hot. He wants to go for that next kill, just falls apart. And then this is where the round collapses from here, where you can't even blame Gavini for this next death. That's just KDS hitting an insane shot through the floor. Then these two link up to push the player into train, and then they close out the round. And it just goes to show both teams were doing very well with their strats, playing very well with their strategic game and their trades, but it really just came down to FaZe just getting the fundamentals and not playing scared and playing through and through and closing out this first map. So for me, I got to see Unwanted bring that same exact thing, especially now they're going to be going to FaZe's map, but we won't know until after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to the MGM Music Hall live at Fenway Park and it's Six Invitational 2025. Our first game is running. Our first map, though, did not go the way of Unwanted, our North American squad, the last remaining one in competition here in the top 4. FaZe Clan, well, they've gone FaZe up on the first one. Fast map, Kafe Dostoyevsky, 7-3. Next up is Clubhouse, a classic. What do Unwanted need to do to bring this one back?
I think the big question for me here is pressure. How do you handle pressure? Because right now that's the biggest difference between these two teams. One is heavily confident in winning every gunfight. One is under pressure. Your back is against the wall. You have no organization. You're only representing yourself. You have everything to win right now. You're back against the wall, nothing to lose. This is for me the moment where you completely reset and you go there and start defense. You play confident. You play towards you play towards your strength, towards you guys. You play teamwork and you throw out strats out of the window if you need to, right? But confidence, that's what you need right now.
You'll know this as well, Leo, from being a competitor yourself, is that you can kind of make peace with losing. Obviously, you never want to lose. You want to win absolutely everything. But you can make peace with it if you have to, as long as you put the best performance out there and you've left everything on that stage. I don't think Unwanted have left everything on that stage in map 1, personally. I thought they were a little bit below their personal performance that they expected of themselves. So for map 2, that's what I want to see. I want to see confidence. And then just from a technical point of view, they banned away the Monty in the last map. They were obviously cautious of Vita King on that Monty for FaZe Clan, but they're such a good shield team themselves. They need to not just limit themselves to one shield, because FaZe will absolutely come with a shield ban. So I want to see them maybe ban something a little bit different on Clubhouse.
Gentlemen, the question here is, do we see a map 3 or not? Our game's ready.
I'm hoping for it. For the NA crowd, a third map would be great.
I hope for everyone in here that we do see a third map and maybe Unwanted go on, but if we don't, Milosh, we get a repeat of the SI 2024 final later on today, so I'm impartial either way.
Boston, you want to see map 3? I think you heard it. Entero Jesse, take it away.
Well, thank you very much. It wasn't exactly the start that Unwanted wanted, but
oh, I see what you did there.
But now they face a daunting prospect in map number 2.
You should be a broadcaster. That was good.
I practiced really hard for that. Thanks. I wrote that down. I was so nervous. Are you booing me? Why are you booing me? I'm right. We're moments away from map number 2. Does this run by Unwanted come to a screeching halt? Does FaZe Clan give us a rematch of last year's grand finals? We are moments away from map 2 on Clubhouse.
Clubhouse is the map that these two teams have played a ton of throughout this tournament. FaZe Clan 4 plays already at SI. Unwanted, they haven't actually touched it since they got demolished by BDS 7-1 in the upper bracket. They're looking to bounce back. Their first operator taken off the board here historically would be a Maverick, and they will continue that trend, banning out the somewhat hard breach operator to come through. I think FaZe have a couple of options here. They like banning Monty on this map. They like Capitao and Grim a bit too. They go for the Blitz. That's more to ban against their opponent. They don't often ban Blitz on Clubhouse, but when you're playing against Spirits, you gotta offer that respect. On the defense, you'd expect a Mira, maybe a Kaid to come out from FaZe Clan, as that tends to be what they remove from the board. They will continue that trend as they take Kaid off the playing field. And then Azami Fenrir would be the next couple of expected bans. I think Azami a little bit more likely for Unwanted. Fenrir instead. I gotta say, map 1, we saw some wild operator bans coming through.
Yep.
Map number 2, I think they were all quite predictable.
Yeah, these are a lot more standardized for a map like Clubhouse. And I think Clubhouse does speak to your fundamentals, right? When we talk about maps and how those fundamentals play out, it's about things like intel. It's about things like hard breach and the jostling that goes around it. If you're a defender, you're going to look at bandit tricking. You're going to look at throwing that Kaid claw on the wall, especially in the basement. I've called it the electro shuffle before, just as a folksy way of describing it, because there isn't as elegant a term as bandit tricking. But a lot of teams won't necessarily actively engage in that level of trickery. They will hit it at set and forget, and then they will fall back. And either those bandit batteries or those mute jammers will work their magic, and then you'll just go about your day. It's a bottom floor bomb site, and with Kaid banned, you can see no denial whatsoever on the side of Unwanted. They'll start with a pretty standard utility-heavy, slow lineup that works very well in a post plan.
And as we load into map number 2, Parker, I go back to what happened yesterday. After Dream was announced as the MVP of the first day of the live phase, he retweeted that with one single word and a GIF: believe. And I think if the audience can continue to believe in Unwanted, they've got a chance here against FaZe Clan.
I think they got your cue, Jesse.
Some of them did. Ultimately, it's not going to be easy regardless. FaZe Clan have been so good at Clubhouse throughout their history. Now to bring it back against North America's last hope, or looking to dash that here in Boston. We'll start with a full map clear.
What a top 4 we have, though, right?
Yeah.
You've got the defending major champions from Manchester that didn't even make it to Montreal to be able to put that title on the line. They beat BDS. The major champions from Montreal, W7M, they're not here. They beat BDS. Guess who's here? BDS is here. Furia, who won SI last year on home soil, they're still here. The team that they beat in the most thrilling game that we have seen possibly in the history of this esport is FaZe Clan, and they are still here as well. I know that during Phase 1 and Phase 2 we talked about good teams going home, but you've got 4 of the best that are still standing and no real surprises outside of maybe Unwanted after the small downturn they took around the time of the Montreal game.
Certainly, and I mean, obviously this team's had some problems, but they can open things up. Yes, they will. An opening pick onto a Ying of all operators is going to be incredibly impactful for the North American squad.
Cyber was just a step away from dying to that same Nitro cell too, so Unwanted could have found themselves a terrific start. Instead, they'll have to settle for getting rid of the most utility-heavy operator. Maybe you can make an argument that it's the Grim, all 5 canisters full of bees and both EMPs still remain.
No can openers being brought, nor is there any Hibana, and of course Mavericks banned out, so these thermite charges are going to be all they have to open up these hatches. They've started off with the Moto hatch and then looking for Kitchen as well. It is still reinforced. If this gets denied, this is actually a huge problem for FaZe Clan. There are impacts on the side of Unwanted. It's Gavin who's playing it down inside of Church. There's a Nitro as well. Houghton tries to just shoot him out with his gun, but he can't quite get there in time. So hatches will be opened, but there's only 2 angles to really get down through the site.
Yeah, it's going to be not a linear take for FaZe Clan by any stretch of the imagination, but a very standard one. Hot and Cold and Adam both hunted by Grim's gadgetry as now souls will drop. Nobody playing AK. So instead, he's got a golden opportunity to hold down this position. Adam with a Nitro Cell, the second explosive gadget from Unwanted doing its job as 2 players come alive on the side of FaZe. Answered back by 3 on Unwanted. I'm no mathematician, Jesse, but that gives Unwanted the round.
It does, Parker, it does, and some brilliant play coming out from Hot and Cold in that round, both starting things off with the Nitro Cell, but also locking things down in that anchor position. Hot and Cold, he's been around the block, he's been playing since year 1, season 1, and throughout his time as a professional Rainbow Six player, he's beaten FaZe Clan 5 different times in 5 different countries. He beat FaZe Clan in Japan, he beat them in Canada, he beat them in Sweden, he beat them in Brazil, he beat them in UK.
Jesse, shut up, Dream is on the screen.
Yeah, okay. But the problem for Hot and Cold is he's never beaten FaZe Clan on American soil. This is his 3rd time playing FaZe Clan after going up against them in Raleigh and in Atlanta. He has never successfully taken out this team when he's been the favorites, the hometown hero. He and the squad played excellent in this anchor position. I love the way he locked things down with the Vector, but they're gonna need to be historically good to win this series against FaZe today.
At the top of the show, I expressly asked for no more 2-0 matches.
You did ask for that.
I don't think FaZe heard me, and I think that's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, it would be rude if they did hear you and then they just ignored it. Like, I expect some manners from our teams here at SI, but maybe there's some more things that are important to them.
I always appreciate when the crowd chooses their favorites. Something that's a little interesting. Andy shooting the X-Kairos at the top rim allows one of those X-Kairos to fall, which can try to evade those mute jammers that are scattered right now throughout those castle barricades on the bedroom windows. Looks like they're all going to be going off. Allows unfettered access to the bomb site for FaZe Clan. What is this?
This is a zombie, Parker, and Gavin has made a fortress of top red.
It was a rhetorical question, but thank you for telling me.
Well, some of the viewers may not know. He's got footholds. If they start to jump on in, he doesn't quite get the pick up onto the Monty, and this might just be able to make the space and force Gavin out without clearing these Kibas.
Gavin is doing an exceptionally good job at wasting time here, Jesse. He's got hot and cold for backup. Right now, 4 members of FaZe Clan all trying to tackle this red and cash hold that Unwanted are fully committed to. Gavin under some serious heat. The mountain creeping up on him as now Houghton looks for an opening. FaZe take one of these 2 players down and will now get a good read on Houghton, who manages to get out of there with his life still intact. Handy gets him on the follow-up. Things not so good, as Handy's actually in weight room. He's so close. Or no, rather one of these players look like it from their silhouette. We got bamboozled.
Yeah, obviously that's not the roam game that Unwanted wanted. Hot and cold. Cashed or cursed a little bit, couldn't quite make it back to the site in time. Now this is going to be a 5v3 execute.
It was KDS that we were looking at, whose silhouette appeared to be over in that direction, but he was still outside on the balcony. Now it's Vidiking, as he's worked his way inside a weight room, carrying the team on his back. Dream had prepped the door, and he falters as FaZe are taking no one for an answer. Adam in a 1v5. He's got his hands full. This is such a tough position for him to be in, knocking away the Monty, and now all of FaZe Clan will be in on the action to win the round flawlessly. FaZe Clan have puzzling attacks on Kafe, and now the same on Clubhouse, and it's catching up this Unwanted team.
Yeah, that's about as clean as it gets when it comes to going for a cash side over clear. Obviously took a lot of time, but they used that time well. They were getting their Grim into position. They were taking Rafters control. They were starting to clear out those Kiba barriers. They were making sure that Lounge was clear. They did a lot of good stuff while they were working on taking that top red position. And Gavin, at the end of it, had no chance of getting a refrag back there. He just had to sit and wait to be cleared. Monty walked up on him. He was full blind. He was tracked by a Grim. That's a hopeless situation. And then Hot and Cold, ideally he's trading that. Ideally he's working a pick. It's okay if he just gets out. Couldn't do either. Caught just on the tail end of getting into Master. You can't be going down 0 for 2 on that cash side extension. That's something that Unwanted are very aware of, and they might try something different next time they go back to gym and bedroom. But that'll have to wait. CCTV cash comes back. We return to the top floor.
KDS and Souls woke up and they chose violence so far today. They have been exquisite on the side of FaZe Clan. Vidiking is one of the players whose praises we've been singing throughout this entire tournament. Handy's had some terrific moments in Cyber. Well, Cyber became one of 3 players to break 1,000 kills at just the Six Invitational. He joined Nesk and Palu. Pretty incredible company. Though Cyber has actually had a bit of a slow event so far, which isn't terrible because FaZe Clan have 4 other players who can pick up all that slack.
Yeah, I mean, FaZe are a very versatile team. All 5 players step up. Vidiking, usually the quietest of the 5, but I've seen him do some incredible stuff as well. Not sure that's exactly what Houghton wanted from the Kiba, but it will position itself in a way that he decides it's best just to leave Secret, leave those blue stairs, and get back over towards the site. FaZe Clan have so far taken a lot of that bottom floor control. Gavin is playing bottom garage, otherwise there's no presence from Unwanted on the main floor. They're allowing FaZe Clan to take kind of the area around bar and take that kitchen. We saw KDS maintaining that control. Might be looking to go for a con side finish on the side of FaZe Clan, just based on what they've taken at this point. Already Cyber working his way into construction. I think that will be the call. Means that clearing out Rafters won't be as important. If you can get construction control and you still get that main breach open, oftentimes it's not vital to take Rafters like you usually see.
Zombie was a major impediment in the previous round over towards red stairs. Houghton now rocking his operator as he fears what might be below. A missed opportunity with the Kiba earlier in the round. He has an idea of what to do next, but will lose that construction wall. No death marks used by KDS's Deimos yet with just a little bit over a minute to go. So one of these defenders at minimum will be feeling the heat. Cyber was expecting, I think, a swing onto that door, but nobody there wanting to greet him. FaZe Clan have been slow on these attacks, but slow and steady wins the race. They're looking to flush out these defenders from Unwanted and are doing a mighty fine job. Slowly but surely, all of these obstacles are getting chipped away at.
Nobody's giving up their positioning, though. They're just starting to open the main wall now, and there's the first swing. Hot and cold, punished by the captain.
They'll find another out on Rafters. Dream with the lone kill for Unwanted in this round. He and Adam will need to work together as there's 3 still up for FaZe. Diffuser going down. Nitro Cell tossed out by Adam, but it's miles away. KDS pulling that one off. Dream looks for the secure inside of construction, but he's in a rough place. Still all the depth marks there for KDS. He'll use one on Dream, and Handy will be credited with the kill. 2 in a row for FaZe.
That belief is still there, Parker. This crowd knows that it's still doable for the North Americans, and I mean, listen, that last round, they gave up a lot of space to FaZe. They did that on map 1, too. They didn't try to contest them too much early. But if they can start to find this early momentum, obviously these Azami plays, they look really nice, they look really difficult to take down, but FaZe Clan, I gotta say, are answering them perfectly. If they can get a little bit more aggression in that early round, they might be able to catch FaZe off guard because it feels like FaZe are setting up these executes without much resistance. Full construction control without taking a gunfight, opening the main breach without having to deal with too much utility. They were in the perfect position to go for that final push. And I mean, yes, they didn't have Garage, but that wasn't part of the plan. They didn't need Garage. They came in through Con, they worked their picks, and after that main breach started opening, 5 players in the bomb site, somebody's gotta move. You're gonna have to move into a crossfire. There's just not that many positions to play in the site.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not actively holding Rafters and you're only relying on the person on top red to catch the cross through, if a shield is on the board or there's smokes on the board or you kill the person playing in red, you cede so much map control. Unwanted learned that the hard way in the previous round, and FaZe have sprung off to a lead. Unwanted have been trailing the overwhelming majority of this series, and well, some teams do better when they're fighting from behind. I don't know if Unwanted is one of those teams, but against a team like FaZe Clan, you cannot afford to give up so many rounds. FaZe will continue to punish you. They did it all through map number 1. They did it to SSG all day yesterday. Now it's Unwanted's turn to feel the heat.
Spirit's playing somewhat aggressive here. We see him on the Valk cam, playing those main stairs. We've had some miracle moments come from smoke players in this position. A lot of North American teams wanting to run this, and of course it can be very effective, but it's a lot of onus on the individual. Spirits, as a player, needs to go huge in this moment. They're catching out those Valk cameras. Hawk and Cold tried to hide in the prep phase so they wouldn't be ready for them, but they've of course seen them now. Very default position for a lot of these Valk cams, on the left side of your screen as well.
A stealth drop onto Spirits. Cyber and him will do battle. Spirits still looking for kill number 1.
How did they both live through that engagement?
I'm lost for words.
That's crazy. It's gonna slow things down a little bit as FaZe Clan just keep working on the soft breach. I think they're happy with that. They force Spirits back. They can now take that main stairs control. And Spirits will retain 2 of those Toxic Babes in his pocket, so he can use those late round to try to deny a plant. But even still, I think he wanted to deny a little bit more on that main stairs. I think that needed to be the opening point where they work a pick or where they stall a lot of time. With low HP, it's the right call to retreat, but they need to have good anchor play. Admittedly, they did have that in round number 1.
They did. Spirits and Adam had a slow start on Kafe. It is repeating itself, much to the depths of Unwanted, who will now look longingly at a scoreboard that also has Gavin at 0 kills. Very out of the ordinary for how he's had a tournament where he's dominated so well. FaZe Clan have drones in every nook and cranny of this bomb site. They've been getting picked away at by Unwanted. Only 2 of those drones remain, but FaZe probably gained enough intel to say who really cares at this point. Fire will go down, and oh my, Adam is getting cooked alive in his position, forced into the hallway. Gavin breaks the goose egg. His Dream is punished by KDS. Both teams now just killing each other all over the bomb site as the proverbial rubber hits the proverbial road. Houghton and Souls now in a one-on-one shootout with no diffuser in hand for FaZe Clan. Houghton will get a swing over through the hallway, lined up on the wrong side of those crates, and now Souls will be in pursuit, but Houghton has managed to peel off over towards blue. Souls wants the engagement, but Houghton swings on him. Souls put in a position where he had to do battle against the clock, and it gave Houghton an opening to capitalize.
Perfectly played by the captain of Unwanted, Hot and Cold in the 1v1. He's been the hero down in the basement for this team. Perfectly played that, buying his time, getting the better of Souls, who frankly has not had the best tournament in terms of his clutches.
We got a timeout that's been called by
Hey, I just want us to
Let's
talk
listen
about
to
these
what
last
Mint
two
has to
fucking
say.
defenses, right? I
I
want
have an idea for Cash.
Go ahead.
I mean, if we run back Cash, I think we could run the wall now, but I want to move 2 walls to the con walls and play a zombie and bandit in there.
Yeah. We got to start giving up more counters on the end of the round, because look, they're able to like fucking slow crawl us and take the map from us, but we need to have more more layers on the fucking back end. So I think that's a great idea, Matt. I mean, even if you played more fucking Valk on some of our holds and just try to like do an under, like if we go Cash again and we have Valk and we fucking power the demos under, we can play for C4s under as well,
I
right?
think first let's just run our gym back. I'm gonna go Valk, okay? I'm gonna just play like a fucking rat.
Make him do something.
The same
dropping. I'm dropping the bandit though. I don't know if anyone wants that.
I'm playing Legion this time too.
Strat's being called out for that CC bomb site.
The audience is not privy to what is being said during the timeouts. They have to make their own amusement, and they've been doing a great job of it so far today. It's effectively a tri-cast between you, me, and the audience at this point.
The audience, you know, they don't have the widest vocabulary, but the words they say them really well.
Yes, they're very reliable.
Going back to that last round, I mean, Souls in the 1v1, he's struggled in the 1vx's so far. He's actually the least clutch player at the Six Invitational, winning just 1 of his attempted 37 clutches coming into this game. Might have had a couple more attempts in map number 1, my memory eludes me, but even still, he was in a poor position because Hot and Cold played that so well. Sometimes in the 1vx, you know, you're not gonna be favored. Your teammates don't set you up perfectly, not trying to put that all on Souls, but important for Hot and Cold to clutch down those moments, even when you're in the advantage, because they often weren't doing that back on Kafe.
Day 2 of the grand finals, and the crowd has discovered a second player.
Who knows, maybe by the time they're facing BDS, they'll know the whole roster.
You have high expectations.
Well, I believe in NA crowds. Perhaps naively. This time the cash extension isn't nearly as committed from Unwanted. A zombie from Adam this time around being played closer to construction, not quite top red. Gavin was still in that position, but he's played it with the Legion instead, and he's not really bringing as critical of utility. FaZe have answered that by working a bit more on the windows, but they still want this control, and Gavin will still be the point man. The fact that he's not bunkered in with the zombie, though, means he can retreat, stay alive, and feeling a lot better than last time.
All 3 of Gavin's kills coming in the previous round. It's been a very top-heavy set of matches to this point for Unwanted, as in saw Dream, Gavin, and Houghton leading the way on Kafe. A great read now!
Oh, so close.
KDS taking a lot of damage, but the Nitro Cell was about a second too late. KDS could have been blown sky high, and with it, have to expect some of the chances for FaZe Clan would have gone with him.
Half the HP, though, still removed, and he's going to move over to this window position instead. Vidiking with the fuse kit on the Monty is still holding on to construction, so that seems like where the push is going to come through. But FaZe are still taking their time. They're a team who like to use the clock as much as they can. If they can get Jacuzzi open, that would be nice. If they can clear out Spirits, who we saw playing on that bottom floor, that would be effective as well. Here comes Jacuzzi.
Dream is in such a bad spot here, on the run, being hounded inside a bathroom as now Vidiking breathes down their neck. He's trying to ping the Legion, but instead he's getting a ping on the Kiva barrier behind him. Handy starts things off. The Nitro Cell will go. Down goes Souls as they will continue to trade back and forth. Now it's Dream on the board. 3 separate players credited with kills on the side of Unwanted, but Cyber and Handy are just so good in the clutch, and the lead goes back to the Brazilians. Unwanted are seemingly wanting an uphill battle, and by oh by, they've got it.
Cyber and Handy played together perfectly in that late round. They were both holding kind of back positions. The youngest and oldest members of FaZe Clan, one out on Jacuzzi Breach, one out on the Master Windows. And as that main push came through from Logi, it was the Monty leading the charge. It got devastated. It was rightfully the focal point for Unwanted. They wanted to make sure they could not get the Monty into sight, but they forgot about the other angles. Of course, Handy coming in from Jacuzzi, and then once again, Cyber out on those windows were really the problem players for Unwanted. The FaZe Clan are looking mighty fine on their own map pick of Clubhouse. They've secured themselves at minimum a tied half and potentially for a 4-2.
It'd be another 4-2 half for FaZe as they sprung off to an early lead on Kafe and never looked back. Unwanted very close to drawing the same scoreline on map number 1, but right now there are just no answers for this FaZe attack. Kafe was decided an awful lot by mistakes that Unwanted committed. It was a very sloppy first map for the North Americans, and they did not play their style of game. FaZe Clan were as good as we expect. Here, Unwanted aren't committing as many mistakes. It's just FaZe looks so strong while they pick this map for good reason.
One thing the audience won't be aware of is that in that TAC timeout, Hot and Cold said he wanted to play CCTV Cash with the wall denial still. Adam staying on that Bandit, but he also wanted to move 2 walls over towards Construction, which he just set up in the prep phase towards Logi. Adam is going to be playing that position on the Bandit. We see him right now holding that con single as well as the 2 walls to Logi. That gets droned out by FaZe, but that's still going to be a tough obstacle to get past. If we see some great bandit tricking from Adam, it would really throw a wrench into the plan of FaZe Clan. Remember, this is where their push finished in the last round, so if they can stop that, it would be a huge change. Nicely done.
Got it. Huge work by Adam to keep this part of the map in control. Construction being worked on by FaZe still, but a third player's been discovered.
Cheering for the bandit trick. He may be 1-5, but it's that util play that comes out in Siege that can be just as important.
There is a small section of the crowd cheering for FaZe Clan, but I mean, we're in North America. They're going to cheer for the North American teams. That's just how it works. Unwanted need everything that the crowd has. They need everything that the team has to stay in this match at the moment, because at this point, they've been outclassed by FaZe.
It's good time waste so far over by Construction. Losing Hot and Cold feels kind of bad for it, but the Azami had already done a lot of work setting up that part of the map. Bottom floor fight, hugely important. Handy 7-2, doesn't lose these often. Actually just takes time away, says, what if I just stop the wall from being bandit tricked?
What if Gavin actually wants to get active with Dream by his side? Zono Canister in the supply door, leading the lounge, preventing Unwanted and preventing FaZe Clan from doing battle for the time being. Cyber takes down Adam, and now Gavin will freeze himself in this position. The death mark will no longer work. KDS on that beat, Gavin dies. FaZe Clan in full control. No flawless round as Dream fires back and finds 2. Sidearm will have to come out, and he's shots.
Wait a minute.
Down below, but with no way to stop the plant other than bullets. He'll retake red now. 16 bullets in his magazine. Cross being watched by Vidiking. Dream fighting himself out of this position. FaZe Clan with the right read. And Vidiking just needs to wait. Dream had nowhere to go. Just as they did in map number 1, it's a 4-2 first half for FaZe.
It's another attack. It's another master class from Cyber and Handy. Handy all alone down below.
We've got a call in with Nix yet again, and Nix, you are looking at the exact same scoreline on Kafe. Do you feel any different about this map than you did on Kafe?
I think on the defensive half, we definitely made some mistakes in terms of our positioning. I think that we could have been trading better, and I think that that's what kind of ended up, putting us in the 2-4 position. It doesn't mean that it's as bad as it was in, Kafe or anything like that. I think we could definitely bring it back in the attack after the game plan that we came up with. So.
Going on to attack on Clubhouse, and if you're not able to put up a 4-2 scoreline or better, this is the end of the road. What does Unwanted need to do to send this either into the win column or into overtime?
I mean, biggest thing we talked about is that we were getting the opening advantages basically every time on Kafe. We just need to make sure that we're targeting correctly and making sure that we're playing the end game of the rounds correctly.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Winning the next round after a half like that is critically important, Parker.
Yep.
We saw it on map number 1. What happened? FaZe Clan won the first round of the second half. It went 5-2, and from that point, the hope started draining from the eyes of Unwanted. This is critical that they get a bounce-back attack to start, but it's not going to be easy. Of the 10 times FaZe Clan have defended the basement floor on Clubhouse so far at the Six Invitational, they have an 8-2 record. They are incredibly proficient at defending this bomb site. That means there's a lot of odds, though. Unwanted know what FaZe Clan like to do here. They've got a couple different strats because they're FaZe Clan, of course they do. It's not a heavy commitment to a roam, but there is some rat play going on here, Parker, as KDS is being hid out in garage, and Cyber is shooting drones for him and causing a distraction.
There's a drone hold to his left. Oh my! KDS goes on drone, though, and a massive 2K! Blowing this round wide open. Brilliantly timed by FaZe Clan, and immediately Unwanted lose their Blackbeard and their Capitao. A devastating start for the North Americans, Jesse.
You couldn't have lost 2 more important operators, maybe the Habana, but even still, losing the Capitao for the execute is so rough, and Spirits has not had the success on this operator throughout the day. He's been so good with shields throughout the tournament, but something about FaZe Clan, they've just seemed to figure him out.
There's another roam upstairs. Handy goes undroned. Unwanted losing out on information. Nix mentioned how that was a problem, and now it is coming to pass yet again. As the flames inside of Dirt Tunnel do no good. Hot and cold now, absorbing an awful lot of damage from that nitro cells. Those Goyo canisters will just buy an endless amount of time for FaZe.
And they've got a lot of time, to be fair, Unwanted. The problem is they don't want to go past that Dirt Tunnel because they don't know where these other FaZe Clan players are. Only 3 drones scattered around the map, and this is a risky maneuver because Adam could get flanked at any moment.
Still got those 2 adrenal surges to give Hot and Cold a bit more HP, but 5 players remain for FaZe Clan. You've got your work cut out for you. Nitro Cell goes off. Houghton doesn't suffer through it. He continues onwards, absorbing an awful lot of damage. Adam, though, looking for some coverage. It's all up to Houghton as KDS gets 3. Handy with the knockout blow. FaZe Clan want this rematch against Furia, and they are taking us there in a hurry. 5-2 now, the scoreline. If you're a fan of Unwanted, you've got that feeling in the pit of your gut that this might be the end of the road.
I mean, KDS bottom garage was just a devastating dagger. How do you come back after a start like that to the round? This right here, I mean, they tried to charge through the Blackbeard. Not sure if they had bods on this, so it's not a FaZe Clan, but they were so ready for it.
This Unwanted core, by the way, is the last North American team to have won a major international event. They did so in Manchester under that Beast Coast roster, or Beast Coast organization, if you want to call it that. Beast Coast got bought out by M80, but before that, C9, Cloud9 had taken over a partnership with Beast Coast. NA has not had a lot of international success. In the last 4 years, it's been what, TSM at SI?
Yeah.
Dark Zero at the Charlotte Major, and now C9 BC at Manchester.
Even
almost a year ago.
Pretty old.
What?
Even some of those are pretty old.
Well, no, you have to go back years.
Yeah.
Europe and Brazil have dominated international events over the last 3 years, and NA has been the little kid brother of those 3 regions, despite having a lot of money, despite having high salaries, big organizations, sponsorship opportunities. And NA just seems to not be able to hit that 6th gear when they get to an international event. There's still plenty of time for Unwanted to turn this around, but hope is slipping through the fingers of UW at this moment.
It's a moment like this. Somebody's got to step up, be a leader, give some hope to these players, someone on the team. Hot and cold, dreams, spirits, doesn't matter who it is at this point. Somebody's got to step up. Just like when FaZe Clan were attacking CCTV Cash, it looks like construction will be the final focus for Unwanted. FaZe very aware of this. They've set up these castle barricades to slow things down, and of course the Nitro Cell's ready for this movement as well. They've got to get somebody down below to clear out the bandit batteries. Cyber's put a battery on this wall. That will be probably the job of Adam. to go through, if not a frag grenade to clear that. Or you could go the old-fashioned way. He's also stopped out that Nitro Cell, so beautifully tossed out.
I don't know if the Nitro Cell was botched or was meant to land in that opening, but either way, it does not find the success that it was looking for. Now they'll fire through the wall and try to keep these FaZe defenders far enough back.
Dream is still situated outside the main breach, and he's waiting for Gavin to rotate over so they can get the main CC wall open. If they get this, there goes the long-range EMP. It opens up a second angle that will be devastating for the positioning of FaZe Clan.
Hot and Cold has been dropped. He was coming to blows with King. The leader on the side of FaZe Clan has been exceptional so far, but Spirits of Dream have found an opening, and two stacked up over towards red will pose a problem for FaZe. Soul's fighting his way out of his position against Adams. Now Spirits is in tow. Nitro Cells landing as it's Spirits and Gavin against two from FaZe. No diffuser in hand for Unwanted. They will need to retrieve the case, which is far removed from the execute. Does give Handy and King an opportunity to get back to the site. King is spotted. Handy is down below, but with no explosives, he will have to take this engagement head on. Up top of the stairs, seeing Gavin, the Blackbeard is off of the plant. King at this point, nothing but a human drone, as Unwanted scramble to get out of the bomb site in the post plant. Gavin holding this tight angle on the wall, Blackbeard giving the information away. Handy wins one. How about a second engagement, trying to force this Blackbeard in? He's gonna be immobile for the time being. Handy looking to long arm it. Spirits will go for the vault in towards construction, buying time. The mirror in hot pursuit now. Limited opportunity. Spirits wins the engagement. A huge round from the French Canadian, and Unwanted will not allow FaZe Clan to take series point.
And that is the shield play we've been waiting to see. Spirits, welcome to the server. The Blackbeard, perfect in that moment. Started off by peeking with the shield up as he got into the site. Made sure he could get that space, that information for his teammates. Then brought out the gun to clear us some of those angles, take some aggressive plays. They got to the 2v2, slowed things down. Caught the flank coming up through rafters. Lost one, tried to call teammates, but it wasn't quite there. In the 1v1, backed up, waited for the bash. That is exactly how you're supposed to play Blackbeard. A clinic on how to play Siege's most recently reworked operator, and that was not an easy round from Unwanted. Yes, they just barely got that main breach open, but it took them some time. And it was the opening pick from FaZe too. I thought King's flank up rafters was gonna be fast enough that it caught them off guard, but they were ready for it. In the 1v2 against the Blackbeard as well. I mean, that is not an easy position. That's the first.
Use a lot of metaphors like, got a lot of runway to land that plane, or, you know, they've got room to turn this one around, or, you know, the light's not at the end of the tunnel, etc.
Yeah.
Whatever metaphor you want to use here, Unwanted realize how bad of a position they find themselves in. FaZe is now on the side that FaZe wants on FaZe's map. FaZe has you right where they want you.
Yep.
This is a lot of information inside of Garage.
Don't know about the Valkyrie, Parker. They didn't bring an IQ. They won't be able to spot these out unless they directly think to look up at it. That's going to be a massive disadvantage if they don't know the cameras are on them this whole time. Now, for Unwanted's sake, there is nobody from FaZe Clan actually holding cash, so they will learn this with their drones, and it's going to be hard for FaZe to capitalize on this unless they send somebody down below to play a Nitro or maybe for a late flank. For now, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to capitalize on the Valkyrie cams, but that information will persist as long as Unwanted don't spot out the Black Eyes.
They saw one.
Okay.
Spirit shot the one Black Eye cam that was inside of CCTV, so the knowledge is there. We have seen teams time and time again hide operators in the prep phase. Clash is a great example of that. Yep. KDS, doesn't matter what operator he's on, but the way he was hidden in the previous round, or 2 rounds ago, was instrumental in FaZe Clan winning their very first round on defense. This time, if you're able to keep the Valkyrie hidden, well, the damage that you can do is quite extensive. They had a good read on Gavin's entry inside of Raptors, but nothing came of it. And now it's Unwanted's job to open up this top.
Con single opened up. They're looking for Jacuzzi as well. Should be able to get this open now as Gavin's tossing out his last Selma charges. It's been good hard breach. No disruption from FaZe Clan for the first 2 minutes of this round. Unwanted retake cash. They've got Jacuzzi open. They can go Logi if they want. They have a ton of options in the 5v5.
Everybody's still alive with 40 seconds left. Jesse, this is going to be an all-out brawl. Cyber looked ready to get the very first kill, but it's Souls to do that instead. KDS goes big for 2, transferring over to Gavin. He cannot secure. Spirits and Adam are the last 2 standing. FaZe doubling up in numbers, looking for match points, series points. It eluded them, but the King goes for 4. And by God, FaZe Clan have only 3 minutes to go until they get a date with Destiny. They have stunned this crowd. Unwanted have had no answers so far for FaZe.
MGM pretty quiet at this point. Some singing, actually, I think, from the audience. They can start to feel the momentum. There are a few FaZe fans out there, of course. We know that Unwanted have it in them. They've gotten out of tough spots before, but none quite as tough as this. An early opening death from Hot and Cold right before that execute started on the gym window, really started things off tough. And then from there, it just felt like FaZe Clan were doing a great job holding their angles. They always seemed to know where the pushes were coming from. KDS pushing out of Logi into Con was the big difference maker. Leave it up to KDS to make a miracle happen when in that 5v5, honestly, I thought Unwanted were gonna be in a position where they would be able to take it. Just didn't seem to come out though.
This is the feeling of this FaZe Clan seeming so inevitable. There were times where G2 would be in a similar predicament when they went through their incredible run years ago. Furia felt like that just a year prior when they were on their dynasty-defining tear, winning every single event in 1 calendar year. Furia took a bit of a step back after that point. They were known as W7M at the time, now they're Furia. But while they got knocked out in the quarters of Manchester, didn't make it to Montreal at all, Furia is sitting and licking their chops at this matchup. Either you get what seems to be a weakened, unsure, Unwanted, or you get the rematch of the match that everybody's been talking about over the last 12 months.
FaZe seem excited to get that rematch too, though. Whilst the big games at SI have often gone the way of Furia, FaZe have won the vast majority of contests between those 2 Brazilian teams. Always 1 round at a time, though. FaZe can't look too far ahead. Unwanted will pose a threat on these attacks, and Hot and Cold's jumped right back onto the Sens. This is an operator that we did see getting a bit of play on this bomb site even before Sens got buffed up. KDS has caused some problems on this bomb site by playing aggressive, and if he gets misdroned, I believe he just did, he could cause even more issues. Cyber once again playing that role of a drone shooter, the distraction. Eventually Unwanted are gonna wander over towards Secret Stairs, and that could be an opportunity, but Gavin was able to shut it down.
And KDS has been a big difference maker in this series. It was him and Souls on map number 1. Now it's Handy and KDS putting up numbers here on map 2. FaZe Clan still have plenty of tools in their arsenal. They can make a course correction. You gotta wonder if all those Kiva barriers got put down or not. That will give some staying power to the defenders. Unwanted have an advantage with 1 minute left on the clock.
This is your time to set things up. You've already stopped 1 bit of aggression from FaZe. You wouldn't expect another. Gavin's taking control of blue. The kitchen hatch is open. The moto hatch is open. A lot of angles being exposed for Unwanted, but they gotta pick and choose where they want to go. Right now, it's looking like kitchen's gonna be the most likely drop. We see main stairs often as an opportunity when a Sens is involved too. You toss that roller down the hallway to get some lines of sight blocked. It's going to be important that FaZe step up for a pick early.
It is insane how aggressively Vidiking is holding that part of the map. Dream is back up as now Spirits is the focal point, marching his way down the main corridor. The Sens wall, taking lines of sight away. Cyber the only one with a pulse at the moment, as it's him in a 1v4. He manages to stop the defuse with 20 seconds left, and now he will be watched over in Moto. But Dream sends him skidding off the road, and Unwanted takes an incredibly vital round. 2 more more for Unwanted, and we have overtime. FaZe Clan have them on the ropes until then.
You better clap for that one. Dream saved them in the end. Cyber was in a position where he could have clutched that easily in the 1v4. I say easy. Nothing's easy at this level, but he was in the position to do so, had the fuse kit down. Dream made sure to get that trade early, shut down any hope of a comeback to clutch the 1v4. And that's important. Win the rounds that you're supposed to win. The Sens play once again from Hot and Cold was beautifully done. They punish on the Azami. They did have a drone on that position the whole time. Really good information. Gavin made the space in blue, but this Sens wall really made all the difference for me. We saw it from Kafe as well. Hot and Cold had some brilliant strats on another operator that was very recently buffed. We're seeing teams bring out this op more and more, and Hot and Cold seems to be the maestro when it comes to using these Sens walls. Getting closer.
Well, I mean, it also wouldn't be NA if they didn't give their fans false hope. And then in the moment, ultimately fall short. We're not quite at the do or die period of time when it comes to that hope. Unwanted still needs to win at least one more round where you're like, okay, we're one round away, we can do this. And then FaZe Clan wins 7-5 and you go, oh, NA got me again. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. I'm just saying it would be objectively funny.
Listen, if you're gonna make an enemy team throw a couple of games against you, if you're gonna make a crazy comeback like this, it's helpful to do it against a team that had probably the greatest choke of all time in a single map.
I think that's a pretty good way of putting it.
So FaZe Clan struggles with the mental in the past, but they get the opening pick in round 11.
And Spirits has been very ineffective in both of these maps so far.
Yeah.
If there is to be a post-mortem for Unwanted, I fear what Spirits and Adam's report card will show. I mixed metaphors, it's fun.
Wow.
You don't do report cards for post-mortems.
You could.
Maybe you do, I'm not a mortician. Or a corn. I just talk about video games. And what I can tell you right now is FaZe Clan have so much stall potential, Jess.
Yep, and they have so much map control too. What do Unwanted have? Literally nothing. They want to get Raptors, but against an Azami, good luck. They've got Hot and Cold on the Capitao, and they've got nades.
KDS is fighting his way out of this position. He might be a dead man walking. Gavin taking down Cyber, grenade misses, Adam dies at the door. KDS didn't seem to have that information relayed to him from Handy, as now the clash will slow them down on the breach. Hot and fishing down below Rafters for a pick as Dream had his hands full with the shield. Gavin is not far removed from Garage either, but he will have to link up with Dream. Hotten's the one holding the diffuser. If he dies, they surrender it inside of Garage. That would be a devastating place for it to go down.
But at the same time, you cannot execute without killing KDS, so you've got to commit to this.
And they're going to do just that. They run up. He's totally blind. Good. Bullets will fly through the rotate, as now that's Raptors control, and Gavin is the cross outside. A great look for Unwanted at this moment as these three FaZe defenders are boxed into cash. The only thing working in their favor, Jesse, is Vidiking. The shield can walk up and nullify Gavin's potential. Hotton only has one smoke remaining. No way to spread fire and keep these defenders in an uncomfortable position. Now it's Dream slowed down. Reminder, Hotton had that diffuser looking for an opening. Team Dream wins! And it's a two-piece for Dream as we go to all 12 rounds!
Hot and Cold just rotated construction. That was an entirely Rafters and main breach push. I have the top-down feed. I didn't realize Hot and Cold was going construction. He had the gap. Everybody was focused on Dream, and fair play to Dream. He hit those shots. Hot and Cold being the pinch player, though, was massive. That's the teamwork. That's the coordinated play that we've primarily been seeing at a FaZe.
And in that round, Jesse, teamwork made the dream work.
One more round, Parker. One more for overtime.
I understand what the crowd is chanting for, but I also can't help but hint the humor in that one more round is also what FaZe Clan fans would be chanting.
True.
One more round and then FaZe Clan wins. One more round, you go to overtime. Both of these teams realize how consequential round 12 will be. Unwanted, finding their footing, maybe a bit too late in these series. Unwanted committed an awful lot of mistakes on Kafe. Mint pointed it out. Yep. We talked about it with some of the analysts in between these maps. Those were errors that Unwanted haven't really been making. They made them. Now, they've been playing a much cleaner Clubhouse, and the scoreline reflects that.
Frankly, Unwanted better hope that there's not just one more round to this game, because overtime will be favored. Full bottom floor hold once again from FaZe. It is a light roam. KDS not going to be the one extending this time around. It is Cyber himself, who has mostly been playing support. Handy as well on the main stairs, but often deceptive how passive that position really is. A quick fallback as Cyber trails him back to the basement, and it doesn't look like they're going to play any games. They got to match point by playing quite aggressive, by taking some risks, hoping for some missed drones, and it did pay off a couple times. KDS got punished the most recent time he played that position, and now he's deciding the better of it. What it's done, though, it's caused a lot of time to be committed to droning.
So this is what I was just going to say, and I'm glad you mentioned that. There was something that I remember watching before I was actually a tier 1 caster. That
in the 80s?
Roughly about the 1980s, give or take. And the teams were discussing that when you don't usually drone Clubhouse, because at the time, the meta was everybody's going to turtle on these bomb sites. You don't really need to drone out.
Yeah.
Well, things started to change. Maverick as an operator changed that. The mute meta combo, the mute Mozzie combo changed that a lot as well. And what happens is that you can kind of lightly drone Clubhouse. The moment you don't thoroughly drone it and you get bitten for it, you now go and over-drone the map. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Unwanted, where because KDS was able to fly under the radar, now we are having slower entries from Unwanted as they dot their I's and cross their T's.
With the Hibana, they've opened up every hatch that they could want on this site. Eyeing that Moto hatch, deciding who wants to pick up the defuse kit. It will be Spirits who can plant with that shield on his back. Last time they rolled Descends down the main hallway and tried to plant back Armory. That won't be an option today.
There's no sense, that's why.
Correct, Parker, that is true. Church Wall looks very intimidating, fully electrified, fully reinforced, and a Nitro ready to toss over top. Here it goes. Good patience by Spirits. Doesn't get caught off by that, but they gotta find an entry.
Adam falls in the hands of Handy, and now next one up is Dream. At the door frame, seeing the bandit, down goes Handy. Gavin drops over towards Blue. A linear execute from Unwanted is not what they want. They can pick up Spirits as Dream absorbs some damage from the shock wires on the wall. Hot and holding over that kitchen hatch. A 3v3. Coming down to the wire, only 10 seconds left, and Diffuser will need to be retrieved. Spirits had dropped it when he fell. Now it's Hot in the drop. 2 remain for Unwanted. FaZe Clan have things working. A triple for Dream, but Vinicking will stop them in their tracks. And FaZe Clan wakes Unwanted from their dream run. We will have an SI Grand Finals rematch in the lower bracket, as FaZe and Furia will do battle for a spot in the SI Grand Finals.
Another day in the office for FaZe Clan. Unwanted, they still made history. One of the deepest runs we've ever seen from an Orgless team. The first time an Orgless squad has made top 4 since year 1 at the Six Invitational. They should feel very proud, but at the end of the day, it is FaZe Clan who are the better.
I don't think you can be disappointed with what happened on Clubhouse, but
no.
That Kafe map for Unwanted is going to haunt them for quite some time. It was a devastating start to this series that Unwanted took way too long to come back from, and top 4 is not bad at all. You are one of the 4 best teams in the world, but no team comes to this event saying 4th place is fine. Everybody wants to win, especially when you've won a major this year. Our winners are ready. Ian, take us through the interview.
Thank you very much, Parker. KDS, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because you have another best of 3 to go and prepare for. You are in a Six Invitational rematch from the Grand Final of Sao Paulo last year. Can you win this time around, and why?
Yeah, at this time we are gonna win Furia, but it will be a tough match, you know. So I think it will be amazing to play against them again.
All right, well, best of luck. I'm going to let you get on your way. Thank you very much, KDS. Now, while I've got this crowd, I know that you are very disappointed, but of course, we have an orgless roster that came out here with no sponsors on their shirts, nothing but black t-shirts, and I want you to make some noise for the legendary run they put together for Unwanted. But of course, mad respect to FaZe Clan as well. What a performance from them. They have locked in that lower bracket final against Furia. That is coming up very soon. And we've got a commendation coming up too. We'll see you after the break.